If you think if you think the artificial intelligence revolution in healthcare is some distant sci-fi future full of robot doctors and, floating holographic screens, you are looking in the completely wrong direction
You really are. It's happening right now,
today,
right?
right now. And the most remarkable part of it is that it's entirely hidden in plain sight. It is quietly rewiring how hospitals and clinics actually run.
Yeah, the mechanics of it are changing as we speak.
Exactly. So, welcome to our latest deep dive. Today, we are tearing into the realities of integrating AI into healthcare administration systems and workflows. And we're basing this on excerpts from a really fascinating chapter on this exact topic.
It's the great source text. It really breaks down the reality of the situation on the ground.
Okay, let's unpack this. We're going to cut straight through the dense tech jargon, because there's a lot of it, and explore the two drastically different ways AI is infiltrating the healthcare workplace right at this very moment. We're talking about the formal front door and the wildly unpredictable back door.
And navigating the tension between those two doors is, it's really the defining challenge for healthcare leadership right now.
It really is.
AI literacy in healthcare administration is no longer this peripheral skill or some fun initiative you can just delegate to the IT department. It is an absolute professional necessity.
100%.
Whether you're running a multi-specialty clinic, managing a hospital department, or overseeing these massive, complex revenue cycles, these shifts are actively altering the mechanics of your daily operations. So we need to zoom out and examine the mechanics of this transition so you can actually leverage it rather than just react to it.
Right. So let's start with that front door pathway. This is the first major category of AI entering the space, which the text broadly defines as institutional AI.
Right, the heavy-duty stuff.
Exactly. When we talk about institutional AI, we are talking about formal, purpose-built systems. This is the AI operating completely in the background of a healthcare organization. It's officially sanctioned. It's gone through these agonizingly long procurement cycles.
Oh, the procurement cycles take forever.
Right. And it has been thoroughly validated, and its use is strictly bound by really dense vendor contracts and rigid regulatory frameworks. This is the approved infrastructure.
What's fascinating here is that because these institutional systems are so seamlessly integrated into familiar platforms, people interact with this AI every single day without even registering it as artificial intelligence.
You just think it's a software update.
Exactly. A front desk coordinator just assumes their scheduling software got a helpful new patch, or a billing specialist thinks their dashboard is suddenly just catching more errors on its own.
But under the hood.
Under the hood, those platforms are now driven by incredibly sophisticated machine learning and predictive analytics that are completely altering the workflow.
And patient scheduling is a perfect place to see this in action, actually. It's one of the most visible areas of institutional AI adoption. These AI-powered scheduling tools aren't just blindly matching an open 2 p.m. slot with a patient who needs a checkup.
No, they're doing way more than that.
Right. They are actively analyzing vast troves of historical data, patient preferences, provider availability, and facility capacity. They're actually generating predictive models for patient no-show rates.
Which is huge. Think about the operational leverage that provides. If an algorithm can analyze historical patterns, maybe factoring in weather data, traffic patterns, the specific type of appointment, and the patient's individual track record.
Which is wild to think about.
It is. And if it can predict that a specific slot has an 85% probability of a no-show, the system can autonomously adjust. It can double book strategically or dynamically alter the schedule to minimize that gap.
So you're reducing wait times and optimizing provider utilization without requiring a human to manually guess who might not show up.
Exactly. And on top of that, we are seeing aggressive deployment of NLP, natural language processing, to handle the front-end communication.
Right, deploying NIP to handle that endless loop of routine patient questions via chatbots and automated messaging. It acts as this massive pressure relief valve for front desk staff who are otherwise just ground down by answering the exact same logistical questions on the phone all day.
It saves so many hours.
It really does. But let's shift to where the financial stakes are arguably the highest, and that is revenue cycle management, or RCM.
Oh yeah, the financial engine.
Think about the sheer scale of RCM. We are talking about billions of dollars hemorrhaged across the industry every single year just on claim denials, coding mismatches, and inefficient collections. Institutional AI is being deployed specifically to stop that bleeding.
And it does that by flipping the traditional RCM model from reactive to predictive.
Right.
Historically, a claim is submitted, it gets denied, and then a human spends an hour figuring out why and appealing it. It's completely backward looking.
Very manual.
Extremely. But these new AI systems analyze massive sets of historical claims data to identify the really subtle, complex patterns typically associated with denials from specific payers.
So the AI flags these coding errors or missing modifiers in real time before the claim is ever pushed to the payer.
Yes. It is prioritizing collections activity and automating the routine billing communications based on the probability of payment.
Wait, so if these systems are automatically flagging errors, predicting denials, and handling routine communications, isn't the natural next step just replacing the billing staff entirely?
Yeah.
I mean, that seems to be the underlying anxiety whenever this gets brought up.
You would naturally assume that, but the reality on the ground is the exact opposite.
Really?
Yeah. This technology augments human staff. It does not replace them. The volume and complexity of payer requirements are growing so fast that humans simply cannot keep up with the manual review of every single claim anymore.
It's just too much data.
Way too much. The AI clears the brush. It handles the massive volume of routine mismatches and basic coding errors so that the human staff can focus their cognitive energy entirely on high-complexity appeals.
That makes a lot of sense.
It allows human professionals to apply specialized judgment where it's actually needed, rather than wasting hours hunting for a transposed digit in a billing code.
Right. It makes sense when you frame it around cognitive load.
Hmm.
And speaking of cognitive load, we have to talk about prior authorization.
Oh, the ultimate friction point.
If you're managing a department right now, you know prior authorization is an absolute administrative nightmare. It is historically one of the most labor-intensive processes in healthcare. You're submitting requests to increasingly hostile payer portals, tracking responses, appealing denials, and managing an unbelievable volume of clinical documentation.
It really is a massive friction point, but institutional AI tools are beginning to automate significant portions of this workflow.
By predicting the likelihood of an approval based on historical data. Yep.
Yes, historical data and specific payer rules engines. But more importantly, these tools can extract the exact clinical criteria needed from unstructured physician notes and pre-populate the authorization requests.
That is incredible.
It streamlines that entire communication loop between providers and payers. Now, it is crucial to understand this process is still far from being fully autonomous.
Right, you delete a person there.
Absolutely. Human oversight is heavily required. But the AI is already drastically reducing the raw hours of manual data entry required to get a patient approved for a procedure.
And this predictive capability doesn't just stop at the patient or payer level. It scales all the way up to how the workforce itself is managed.
Workforce management is a huge area for this.
Because healthcare staffing is notoriously volatile. You're constantly balancing fluctuating patient acuity, strict nurse-to-patient regulatory ratios, sudden staff callouts, and rigid budgets. Institutional AI platforms for workforce management and analytics are taking all that historical data, combined with real-time inputs, to generate highly accurate forecasts for staffing needs.
They're even predicting employee turnover risks.
Which is wild.
It's an incredibly powerful capability for a nurse manager or a department head. If a system can analyze overtime patterns, PTO usage, and shift density to flag a specific cohort of staff at high risk for burnout and turnover,
Then leadership can intervene before those employees hand in their notice.
exactly. And this ties directly into the broader trend of operational analytics. These institutional AI platforms are breaking down traditional data silos. They're synthesizing data from the EHR, the financial systems, the supply chain, and workforce management, pulling it all into dynamic, actionable dashboards.
Giving you the big picture.
Yes, it allows administrators to actually model the potential financial and operational impacts of organizational changes in a sandbox environment before they pull the trigger in the real world.
So that is the front door. It's sanctioned, it's formal, heavy-duty, heavily monitored institutional AI. But here's where it gets really interesting.
The back door.
The back door.
Mm.
Because there is an entirely different AI landscape operating simultaneously. We were talking about consumer AI. Unlike those massive multi-million-dollar institutional systems, consumer AI consists of widely available, general-purpose large language models that employees are bringing into the workplace informally.
Highly informally.
In many cases, they are doing this completely on their own, on their personal devices, without any institutional guidance, IT oversight, or official policy.
It is a radical bottom-up shift in how technology enters the workspace. We're dealing with incredibly powerful, highly accessible tools that are genuinely useful for administrative tasks. But because they are consumer grade, they bypass all the traditional procurement and security protocols.
Right.
There are four major consumer AI tools dominating the space right now. And if you are in healthcare administration, you need to understand the nuanced functional differences between them. They are absolutely not all built the same.
And their specific architectures dictate how they are being quietly utilized in your offices. Let's break down this big four from the text. First up is ChatGPT, developed by OpenAI.
The one everyone knows.
Right. This is obviously the gateway drug of AI, the tool that dragged LLMs into the mainstream consciousness. It has a free tier and a paid subscription for the more advanced models, and it's fantastic for general drafting, quick summarization, basic research assistance, and brainstorming.
Yeah.
If a clinic manager is trying to draft a quick memo to staff about a new parking policy, this is likely the tool they are pulling up on their phone to do it.
It's ubiquitous. But then you have Claude, developed by Anthropic. Claude has a very specific design emphasis that makes it highly relevant to our field, which is safety, accuracy, and professional utility.
How does it differ fundamentally from ChatGPT?
Well, while it functions similarly, Claude's underlying architecture, which is often referred to as constitutional AI, makes it perform exceptionally well on tasks requiring careful reasoning, nuance, and logic. It is particularly adept at handling complex, dense professional documents. So if a billing specialist needs an AI to synthesize a convoluted 50-page Medicare policy update and draft a carefully worded, highly nuanced response to a difficult pair, Claude is often the preferred tool.
Because it's safer.
Right, because it's designed to be far more cautious about generating inaccurate or unsupported content.
That distinction is vital when we're dealing with complex regulatory language.
Absolutely.
Third on the list is Gemini from Google. And the critical detail here is ecosystem integration. Gemini benefits enormously from being embedded directly into Google Workspace applications.
Gmail, Google Docs, Google Sheets.
Exactly. For healthcare organizations or smaller clinics that already run their administrative backbone on Google Workspace, Gemini doesn't require a separate app download. It just shows up as a stealthy addition to the tools employees are already using every single day.
And that concept of workflow integration brings us to the fourth and arguably most disruptive tool for this industry, which is Microsoft Copilot.
This is the big one.
For healthcare administrators, the impact of Copilot cannot be overstated. Microsoft 365 is the dominant, ubiquitous productivity platform across the vast majority of hospitals and health systems.
It's everywhere.
Because Copilot is integrated directly into that Microsoft ecosystem. I mean, it is literally sitting right there in the ribbon of Word, Excel, PowerPoint, Outlook, and Teams. Its presence is immediate and frictionless.
It's just sitting there waiting to be clicked.
Yeah.
We're talking about Copilot drafting responses to patient complaints in Outlook, generating an entire slide deck for a board meeting in PowerPoint based on a single Word document, or automatically summarizing the action items from a chaotic 45-minute interdepartmental Teams meeting.
It's incredibly powerful.
The wild part is that administrators working in these Microsoft environments might already have access to these Copilot features without even realizing the sheer processing power they suddenly have at their fingertips.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, the contrast between these two pathways, the heavily guarded institutional front door and the frictionless consumer back door, is profound.
It's night and day.
It really is. This is not just an interesting technical distinction. It has massive immediate implications for risk management, data security, and professional accountability. Think about institutional AI. It requires formal organizational processes.
Right, the vendor evaluation.
Intense IT security audits, strict governance dictated by business associate agreements and high pay contracts.
Right.
It is supported by official training, and every single keystroke is monitored, logged, and documented.
And consumer AI is the exact opposite. It enters the workflow invisibly. Imagine a mid-level manager who uses Gemini to summarize a massive, highly sensitive internal policy document right before a leadership meeting just to save 30 minutes of reading.
Happens all the time.
Or a frustrated billing specialist who copies and pastes a complex patient denial letter complete with protected health information into a public instance of Claude to help write a faster appeal.
Those specific uses are incredibly common, and honestly, they are highly beneficial for the employee's immediate productivity. They get the job done faster.
Yeah, they work.
But they simultaneously create existential risks that the organization's leadership is completely unaware of and hasn't planned for. This raises an important question. What exactly happens when we casually introduce these powerful, unpredictable consumer-grade tools into a highly regulated, high-stakes environment like healthcare administration?
The hidden dangers become very real very fast. We're talking about data privacy breaches, accuracy and reliability failures, and massive compliance violations. Healthcare data is arguably the most sensitive data on the planet.
Without a doubt.
If an employee casually pastes proprietary financial data, or worse, patient health information, into a public consumer LLM to get a quick summary, they have just committed a massive privacy breach. The AI company now potentially has that data in its training set, even if the employee's intentions were purely focused on working more efficiently.
Exactly. The intention doesn't negate the breach. And beyond the immediate privacy nightmare, you have the issue of accuracy. These are generative models. They are designed to predict the next most likely word in the sequence, which means they can and do hallucinate.
They just make things up.
They will confidently generate completely false information, fabricated legal precedents, or non-existent medical coding guidelines.
Hold on. If that happens, who is actually liable? If a hospital administrator relies on a consumer AI tool to interpret a new compliance regulation, and the AI hallucinates a critical detail, who gets sued when the hospital violates the regulation?
The professional accountability rests entirely on the human administrator, period.
Wow.
The AI is just a tool. If you use a consumer chatbot to draft a compliance response and it invents a fake statute, you are the one signing your name to it. The hospital is liable and the administrator is professionally responsible. The consumer AI companies have massive terms of service agreements protecting them from liability in these specific scenarios.
So what does this all mean? If you're an administrator, a clinic director, or department head navigating this completely chaotic landscape, what is the play here? The core takeaway from the text is actually incredibly empowering. Developing true AI literacy is the single most valuable competency a professional can build right now. And to be clear, AI literacy does not mean knowing how to code in Python or understanding the math behind neural networks.
No, not at all. AI literacy is highly practical. It means truly understanding the functional differences between these tools. It means knowing exactly what they excel at, like synthesizing vast amounts of text or brainstorming operational workflows, and crucially, knowing exactly where they fail.
Right.
It means understanding the fundamental difference in data security between the validated institutional scheduling system predicting your staffing needs and the free consumer chatbot you're using to draft an email to your team. It is about deploying these tools with appropriate judgment, intense care, and a clear-eyed understanding of the associated risks.
It's about recognizing that you cannot just ban consumer AI tools in healthcare administration. Shadow IT will always exist.
Always.
If you ban it, employees will just use it on their personal phones under the desk because the productivity gains are too massive to ignore. The goal is to channel that capability safely.
Healthcare administration is standing at a very precarious inflection point right now. The gap between what AI can actually do and what healthcare leaders fundamentally understand about it is widening in some organizations and narrowing in others. Institutional systems are becoming more autonomous, while consumer tools are becoming deeply embedded in our everyday administrative workflows. You cannot sit this one out.
You absolutely have to choose to lead the transition rather than be overtaken by it. You have to be the professional in the room who understands how these tools actually function so you can guide your team safely into this new operational reality.
Those who take the time to develop genuine AI literacy right now, who understand the friction points, the risks, and the massive operational leverage, are the ones who will define the next decade of healthcare administration.
It completely changes how you look at the software you use every day. And to wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave you with a final thought to mull over. Think about the realities we just discussed. Tools like Microsoft Copilot and Gemini are already embedded directly into the everyday email and document platforms we use.
They're already there.
Exactly. So if these incredibly powerful general-purpose consumer tools are already baked into the digital air we breathe at work, is the biggest risk to a healthcare organization informal use? Or is the biggest risk actually burying our heads in the sand and pretending they aren't already there?
That is the big question.
It really is. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive. Keep asking the hard questions, keep building that AI literacy, and stay curious.